Okay, this is the tutorial on how to draw the plat maps. So we're going to start with opening up your file. So like you just right click on the PDF, or if it's already in an Illustrator file, then you're just going to open up an Illustrator. So you're just going to right click and open with Illustrator. I already did that and it should be right here. Okay, I'm just going to make it full screen. Okay, so this one was already made before and we're just going to make it look better. But usually if it's a brand new plat map that hasn't been drawn yet, it'll just be a normal PDF, like sort of like a drawing from the builder, and it's like a blueprint. But so you're just gonna either click on it and lock it, then you're gonna come over here to like on the add layer, and you're just gonna add a new layer on top of it, and you can just lock the layer that was the original layer. That way you can't move anything. It's just all stuck and it's a still image. Okay, so now I'm going to draw only the background first. So we're going to hit P for the pen tool. We can come over here. There's the pen tool right there. So you're just going to click, and then just going to zoom in into a corner. You're just going to click on the corner, scroll down, and you're going to hold shift for straight. Well, if it's a straight line, then just hold shift so it goes just straight up and down and straight left and right. So here's the street. See how like on the street kind of intersects here? There's a few ways you can do this, but we're just going to go straight across for this, like on this particular one. You just scroll all the way up to the next corner, hold shift. Oh, maybe not. And then like as you hover over on your last point, it'll put this little O at the end, right underneath your pen tool icon. You see the little O? So you're just going to click on that, and that fills your shape. So now it's a shape instead of 4 individual lines. If you don't fill the shape, then it's just lines everywhere. So once that's filled, then you hit the eyedropper tool. So that's eye, where you can come over here and just push that one. And you're just going to eyedrop whatever color you want. That's already on here. If there's no color, then you're going to pick the color. So I'm going to pick a color. So we're going to pick like a darker green, because we're going to do this other style that we like to do. So here's the green. Okay, and then I should have done this before, but you just move the layer underneath that layer. So that way on your original layer is on top, and then on the layer that you're working on is on the bottom. Okay. So then let's do the street now. So right now we're just going to draw the road here. So even though that the road only shows the gray, and then there's like a transparent right here like on the curb, I'm going to draw the curb too. So we're just going to draw from the edge of the property line onto the street. So you just start right here. You just come up to the point. Okay, and then now like you got to start doing curves. So we're just going to do this curve right here, like that. And then you can kind of like just leave the circle alone, because there's another way we're going to do the circle. So just hold down Alt on this point, so it stops so as you draw any type of line with the curve, you have a leading line and a pass line. And if you hold Alt and you hover over that point, it'll just stop the whole leading line. And so now when you click again, it just goes straight. Because if you don't and you click over here, see how it starts to curve, because it is trying to follow that leading line, but it's also being pulled in the area of where you had pointed before. So we're just going to hold Alt and click that. I'm going to come over here, just click again, and then just follow this curve all the way down. Not too much. There. Okay, so then we're just going to fill this with like a gray color. Just any color really. Okay. Alright, so now we got to do the rest of this circle. Okay, and the easiest way that I found is just to hit the L button, which is your ellipse tool. If you just come inside, it'll probably just, standard, it'll show a normal rectangle, but these little arrows on each of the tools, it lets you know that there's more than one tool inside that toolbox. So you're just going to click and hold, and then you come down here and hit ellipse tool, or just hit L. So now we're just going to draw a big circle that has to fit within that circle length. So like you can just like keep scaling it up and down, just as long as you hold shift so that it holds its proportion as a full-on circle. Okay, so now here I'm gonna hide the original layer. Okay, so here's what we've drawn so far. Okay, so you see how these are like two separate shapes. Okay, so now we're gonna merge them into one shape. That way, like, you don't have, like, have this line running across right here. Okay, so we're just gonna click on both of them, and you come up here to your Pathfinder tool, like I think it's a palette. If it's not there, then you just come to Window, and you look for Pathfinder, and here's the shortcut. I don't know the shortcut, so it's probably not that important, but it's right there if you need it. Okay, so these are how these shape modes. Alright, so like you can click on more than one shape, and you can blend them together. So each one is a different way that it's going to blend them together. Like on this one, it's going to knock out any type of overlapping. So if you were to click on that one, see how it knocked out the middle because that's where it was overlapping. And this other one's like the opposite. It's gonna keep what is overlapped, and it's gonna erase what's not overlapped. Okay, there's all these different ones, but this is the one we want mainly. If you just click on it, it joins them together. See how like they're all one shape now? So we'll undo, you hit it again, and they're all one shape. So now it's just a lot easier to manage a shape that's more complex to draw. So now we're just gonna show that layer again. So here's the top layer, here's the original. So like this layer is on top of what we've been drawing. That's why you can't see the green, even this gray. It's just in between there. So now we still have to bring this layer, like on this stroke, needs to come in. See how there's an edge, and then there's another edge. So there's an easy way to do that, and most people think you can just if you just hit copy and paste and then scale it down, but it doesn't work because it doesn't hold its proportions. So if you just click on that shape, you go to Object, Path, Offset Path. Okay, and then you can hit preview and see what it did. Okay, so right now this offset button is it's already set for a positive 0.1389. So here's our original line, and here's the positive 1.389. So it's going the opposite way. So we need to put a negative number right there, and see how it starts to come in, but it's a little bit too much. So we're just going to turn this down. Just type in numbers and see what it looks like. That's 0.05, maybe a little bit more, 0.7. That's probably fine. So we're just going to hit OK. Let's see okay. And then we're just going to change the color so we can tell what it is. I'm just going to put a big green there and hide that top layer. Okay, so now we have this shape. That was the original shape, and now we have this new shape, which is on top of it. Okay, but we still got to fix this. I don't like how it kind of went in there. Just going to hit P for the pen tool and hover over that point and just subtract the point. As you hover over points, it'll give you either a plus, like here, like on a path. So if you want to add a point on that path, you can just hit the plus button. But if you want to take away a point, then you just hit subtract. Okay, so now we're just going to check the rest of it, make sure everything is good. I think we have to bring down that bottom part. So this street doesn't just end there. So we're going to have to click on both these points. So you hit A for your other direct select tool right here, A. And this will allow you to select individual points. So I just clicked on that point, then I'm holding shift, and I'm going to click on this other point. That way it's only these 2 points selected from this entire object. See how these ones aren't selected? So now I can just click on that point and hold shift and drag down. So all I did was move those 2 points, and it left these ones in the same spot. Okay, so, and then, like you can click on it and you can change it to a more reasonable color, just like a lighter gray. So now you got a curb, and you get, more of like a normal street right in the middle. So that's what we've drawn so far. So now you're going to show that top layer again. So now we have to do like all the property lines. So like you see like all these lines in between here, but they all meet in the middle which is in the street. So we're gonna hide the lines and the shapes inside the street and just put the street layers on top of the other ones. So I'll explain what that means. Okay, so right now we're just gonna draw this box. Okay, so you can either draw it with the pen tool or you can hit M for a box. It's just, if it's a perfect box, and it's easy to hit the M tool. But like the ones that are a little bit more of like a trapezoid, or they have more than 4 angles or 4 sides, and you have to use the pen tool. But you just want to make it quick on yourself for a little bit, so you can just kind of click inside the corner, then you just click and drag. And I would go into the street just a little bit, because you can hide this edge into the street. So we're just going to go right into there. I'm going to change the color to, let's just put it red. But so now when you show and hide, it'll look like this. Okay, and then we'll fix it later. So since this next one is just like a normal square, I'm just going to hold Alt and just click on that and just drag it up. So it's just making a duplicate of that same property that I just did. And I'm just going to find all the other ones that are around the same size, and I'm just going to do those ones real fast. So okay, now we're getting into the ones that are a little bit more of a complex shape, but it looks complex with this one, but you can still just bring this up and hide it in there. You can see how right here this doesn't necessarily match up, so we're just going to unselect all, which is Shift Command and A is just to unselect everything you have. And you hit A for the direct select tool, then you can click on that point and drag that point into there. So now it's affecting both those lines, so it's going to start to skew it back a little bit. And then you don't have to worry about this curve, because we're going to hide that curve, or hide the rest of this rectangle, right behind the street, which the street has the curve. So you don't have to remake that twice. Okay, so for this next one, I'm just going to draw it. So I'm just going to hit P, or unselect everything, then hit P. And then just go from this corner over to this corner. You don't necessarily have to worry about this gray thing. It's too small anyway. Someone's going to know that you're adding in whatever that was. So I'm just going to click down here, and click over here, and just fill the shape again. Okay, so now that's a shape. Now we're just going to unselect all again, so Shift Command A, and it'll just deselect everything. And then we're just going to start on this corner, go to here. I guess you can go all the way into the street if you wanted to. Come over to this one. I'm just going from point to point, just holding, I'm not making any curves, just straight lines. So that makes it really easy. Okay, this next one's kind of big, so just click. I don't know what that big gray thing is, but I guess we'll draw it too. So all this looks really messy, when you hide this, it looks really messy. But when we just click on the street, or on both streets, and you bring this to front, so you just go to Object, Arrange, and then here's Bring to Front, and then there's the shortcut. Just do that, and it hides it all. So now it actually looks like, it's supposed to, but except everyone's yard is red. So we're just gonna hide the rest and see what we have done. So we're still going to do this big gray one back here, which I'm not too sure if that's a property or not, but we still got to draw it. So this one, you can't really hide into the streets. This one, you have to do it just right down the property lines, which is easy because they've already outlined where the circle points are. So you just click inside those circles and you're all good. So now we're on the next one. Let's click here. I think we still gotta do this last one. This weird looking one with a really long driveway. Just gonna make it bleed into the street. Okay, so we have all the property lines drawn. We're just going to hide that, and I just got to bring the street back to the front. First, oh, it looks like I missed one. This one right here. And you can normally just start on any point you want to. It's just some points are easier than others. Just, it doesn't really matter. So that one's not even red, it's gray. It's okay. Because we're just going to change all the colors anyway. But if you just eye drop, so if you click on all the reds, or just whatever color you picked, eye drop them so they're all the same color. So now when you click on one of the colors, you can just go to select same fill color, and it selects everything that was that same color. So now you can, like, all the property lines are a lot easier to click on. So since we made that background color green, we're just going to click on, you know, just a lighter bit of a green here. Okay, and then if you go to object path, offset path again, and you do preview, I guess you can't zoom in, but so it's still on the negative point. So when you hit preview, it's going to add that stroke, you know, inside the original stroke, which is what we want. So that one actually looks pretty good. So we're just going to hit OK. So now we have these normal lines. You know, we're just going to leave that the same color. So you're just going to hit copy. Okay. Then you're going to undo what you did so that it just gets back to the selection, and then just hit erase or hit delete or backspace, whichever one it is. And then you're going to edit. And then you're going to go to edit and then paste in place. So now it's going to paste what you had just copied, which is the inside property lines. Then you're going to click on the street again and bring those to front. Okay, so now we have, so here's before and that's after. So maybe that might have been a little bit too thick. We're just going to undo this a little bit. Okay, so on the offset path, you probably don't want it to be that thick. So we're just going to bring this number down to, that's probably a little bit better. So copy, then you copy this, hit erase, or I mean hit undo, so it's like this, then hit erase, edit, and then paste in place. There we go. Now it's not super thick anymore. Okay, so those are the property lines. And it kind of adds like, sort of adds like a little bit of like a fence line for them, and it's just a lot. It's just, I think it looks better than just like, you know, the normal, you know, really thin lines. It just makes it more like a neighborhood looking. Okay, then we're gonna add just like a street line here. So you're just gonna click right in the middle of the street. Then you just kind of come up here, you know, right to the middle of the circle. Okay, so now you just have like this one random line. Then you're gonna switch so that it's a stroke. You know, just make it yellow. The street lines are yellow. Then you come over here and hit the dash line, and you can change how big the dash is. So, you know, 5 and 6 for the gap, and you can kind of see what that looks like. You can bring down the weight if it's too heavy. So there. So we have a little bit of a street line there that goes right to the middle. I don't know if that's, it might even just go to here, you know, then there's just a roundabout, just whichever way you think it, you know, looks better. Okay, and then I usually like to add like a big stroke around everything, because, you know, this inside stroke stops, and then we get this other, you know, weird one. I mean, even this one needs an offset path stroke. So we're just going to offset path, hit preview, just hit OK, and then you can just change that color to like a little bit of a lighter color. So there, now we have that. Alright, so on the very background drawing, how we had before, you know, like on the very first thing we drew, it was around the entire shape. Okay, so we're just gonna click on that one big shape again. So you're just gonna click on any one of these items and just hit lock. Then you're gonna click again so that it selects the entire shape. Okay, then you're just gonna hit copy. Then you're gonna go to edit, and then edit object, and then path, and then offset path. Then offset path this one, but as a positive number. And just bring that one up a little bit so that it sticks out from the original. And then we're going to change this to just a darker gray. So unclick. So now when you look at it, now you get a heavy outside stroke around everything. That's all the same. It's all fluid. It's just sort of like a bounding box around it all. But you're going to click on it and bring it to the front. Okay. Then you're going to switch it to stroke. So when you come over here to the stroke panel, and you're going to find where it says inside, and you just bring up the stroke a little bit, and you're going to hide the edges. That way everything fits inside that one edge. So all these all run into that one color. This runs into the one color, especially down here on the street when the street was on top. It just gives it like a nice clean border. So I think there's another street that runs kind of parallel with it. So you're just going to click on your pen tool again. You're just going to draw this angled rectangle here. Just might have to zoom in if you have that snap to point like I do. Oh, yeah, here. It's going to bring down my stroke weight. Come over here and click again. Click again. And click there. Okay, so now we have this other shape. I'm just going to eyedrop that color because I kind of like that gray. Hide the original. And then we're going to offset this stroke so that this looks the same as this on the street. So this street needs to look like this street. So we're going to click on it, object, offset path, hit preview. But since it's a positive number, we want a negative number, and I think that negative number that we used before was 2. So you're just going to click on 2, maybe a little bit more than 2. Maybe it was 4. Because 2 was this one. 4 might have been the curve. That looks about right. So you're just going to hit OK. Then you're going to change it to a brighter, you can just hit eyedrop tool and then eyedrop that one. Okay, so now we have this street that runs that way. But, the street doesn't end right here, so we need to drag these 2 points to this edge. Or you can leave it like this. It's really up to you, and I kind of, it's just kind of trial and error to see if it looks good, you keep it. If it not, then you can get rid of it. And see, yeah, I kind of like that. So I'm gonna keep zooming in, just move this point so that it stays. And so when you're moving the points, you just gotta make sure that see how it can go off the track right here. Okay, so you just gotta make sure that stays on its track. Come down here, click there. Then we need to do the same thing to the other side. Might be easier to zoom out and then move it, but either way it's fine. Click on the path, come up here. There we go. So now when we zoom out, this is what we have. We can just, I can draw another pen tool line just right in the middle of the street. All the way up here, that looks like the middle, or just click for one. So now just eyedrop. So now you hit I for the eyedrop tool, and you can hover over this line. You can click on it, and when you click on it, it takes that line you just drew and puts that feature on that line. So that's basically, here's like our new style of the way that we like to draw the all the new plat maps. But you still got to add, lot 1, lot 2. I think, there's no text on this one, but on the new plat maps that you get from the builder, it'll say what lot number it is, what size it is, stuff like that. But so, I'm just going to fill in, with some random text. So we're just going to click and drag like a little bit of a box here, and then just type, lot 1, like 0.279 acres, just to have some text here. So we're just going to put that on its own separate line and change all the font to Gotham. I like the Gotham font. That just seems to work really good for me. Highlight lot 1. I'm going to make that like a bolder font, probably like black, and then make it a little bit bigger. And then we're going to click on everything and hit center. and probably change it to white font since we're on a green grass there. White might pop out a little bit. Okay, then you can just like click and drag, and then like see how big this text box is. You can just scale it down as long as you stay inside the text. You know, it'll be fine. I mean, even that's kind of big in there. So if you want to like shrink the size of the text without having to go inside the text tool and highlight, you know, each individual one, if you just click on it with the V tool, then you hit E, and you know, E is kind of like this little shape tool over here, and then like you can just grab one of the sides, hold shift so it holds its proportion, and then scale down. That way the proportion of the text to each other stays the same, but you're also making them smaller. Okay, and then we got to add a space between lot and 1. Okay, so there's lot 1. You know, we can do lot 2 here. We can do, you know, I mean, you can't just randomly place what the numbers and names of the lots are, but since we don't have that information, we're just going to fill it in with a placeholder for now. You know, just to show you what it would all look like. You know, you just do that, so on and so on and so on. You just keep going. You try to line these ones up, you know, horizontally if they're similar size or similar lines. You know, just keep them on the same plane. Lot 7. Oh, so how I'm doing this? So I'm just gonna click on the text, and I'm holding Alt. And so when you hold Alt or Option, whichever one it is on yours, on mine it's both of them. So I'm on the V tool. So up here, like on the black tool, you just hit V. Then you just click on it. Then you hold down Alt or Option. And when you hold down Alt or Option and you hover over the item selected, your little cursor changes to 2 arrows instead of 1. So this means that it's going to make a copy. So then while holding Alt and Option, you click and hold and you drag to where you want to go, and then you let go of the mouse click first. Okay, then that's going to make a copy. And then you just, you know, then you can change it, and it's all individualized. So again, you just click, hold down Alt and Option, you click and drag, and you let go of the mouse click, and then you let go of Alt. I hit a shortcut button, I guess. Lot 11. There you go. So, and I don't know if this is a real lot or if that's just kind of like, I don't know, it looked different in the drawing, so we're going to leave it different too until we hear back from the client or somebody else who knows more about it, or you can go ask. So yeah, so that's pretty much, you know, our new style of plat maps we like to draw. I think this kind of looks like a lot cleaner than the way this looks. It's a little bit more friendlier. It's easier to follow. It's easier to read. Has some bright colors. It makes sense. Okay, so now we have to dumb it down. So we're gonna make it look like all the other ones do for Hard Rock. So we have to take out some features. We have to change the color of things. I mean, they have a certain style that they've used before, and they want to be consistent. So the white in the background here is your artboard. Okay, so like you can scale this as big as you want. You can add more than one artboard, but you just hit Shift and O. You know, like not 0 but O, and then you can just scale this out. You know, make it a little bit bigger, and then you just hit Escape to get out of that editing tool. Okay, so now we're just gonna you know, just make sure that everything is unlocked, because I did lock some things like in the process of this. So we're just gonna hold down Command Alt and hit 2, and it unlocks. See, like I had locked that that object once so that I could get the background. Alright, so we're just gonna duplicate this. So we're gonna select all and then drag over. Okay, and then we're gonna lock our original so that that's never affected by it. So you're just gonna hit lock. Okay, so when we come over here, you know, now we have our new drawing. So this needs to match these colors. Okay, so we're just gonna click on select all on this guy. Or, I mean, if you just select this color, then you go to select same fill color. It's going to select all of the same ones. Then you're just going to eye drop. So hit eye, and you're going to come over here, and you're just going to click on that color, and then I got this shapes from the other plat maps that have been done by Hard Rock. You just click on any of them and you can drag them over because they all have the same features as long as we're doing it the same way. And then you can see how there's still green in between there. So you're just going to click on that and it should just bring up, here's where you can tell if you actually clicked on it or not, because it'll show you that color of that background. Okay, so you have that selected. Then you come over here and you're just going to change it to that darker gray color. Okay. And then you got to take out this, this yellow line. Then you got to take out the inner street color. Same with this one. You got to take out the yellow line, the inner street color over here. You're going to take out that inner color there. Usually this color of the street is the same color as that background back there. Just going to click on that. And then the stroke should match the same color here too. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select on that color so that here's the tan and then there's the gray. You're going to go select same fill color. That way it only selects this stuff. Then you're going to come over here to your stroke and turn down your stroke, to as small as it'll go. That way the property lines aren't these huge gaps, because they really thin lines on the gaps there, almost like this one. But so we have that, and then there's still a little bit of a color. That should be fine. And then we got to change the street color to this one. So all I did was I just selected that, hit eyedrop, and then I just clicked on the street color that I had already changed. And then we got to take off the the really big border that's around everything. So you just click on that and just hit erase. And that's pretty much it. That's what it looks like. And they might want all their text a little bit smaller, but that's probably not that big of a deal for them. But yeah, so those are the two separate shapes of the plat maps. You can see the difference. So whichever one that they needed to do, if you needed to switch the colors, you remember just select one. Since only this fill color is on all these, you can just go to select same fill color and it selects all the same. Then you can change it. If they want a lighter color, you can just bring it over and they're all lighter colors now. So just whichever one that you needed to do, then you just scale this down. You got to pick which one you want, but I'm just going to save. So, Shift Command S, this is Whispering Pines. And then I'm just going to save it to the desktop for now. Just hit save for the Illustrator file. So save the plat map as its own Illustrator file. That way we can always come back in and change it or alter it or anything. And then so whichever one that they want, then you're going to select that one, hit copy, and then you're going to paste it inside the actual plat map where it lists all the lot names, lot sizes, lot prices, and we can show that on a different tutorial. Thanks.